Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Wind. I've just blown in. And today we are back with more Seduce Me 2, The Demon Wall. Last time, we showed what happens if you don't take your training seriously with Rabbit. We were called a coward, and unlocked the coward achievement. But we are not done. It is a new day. There are still stories to be shown. And we're gonna get back into it and hopefully maybe get back on Rabbit's good side. Last time we went with green for Sam, however, this time we're going to veer over into yellow and re-enter James's land. So let us begin.
Oh,
Hi,
on
Kay. Yes.
there. Okay.
Yep, I know.
Oh, awesome. All right then.
Nah, I'm good.
All right then. Oh,
And for brevity's sake, I am just going to keep using the name Mika as I show you all of the side content. Also, I will point out, like I do in most videos for visual novels, if this is the first time watching any of this content and you actually want to see the scenes play out, I do recommend going back to the beginning of the playlist and starting from there. As I am trying to cover all paths, all achievements, I do need to keep a strict eye on how much time, because I only have a few days a week I can record, as well as only a day or two that I can edit, so I need to manage my time. Alright, with that said, let us get back into it. For now, she is going to be Mika. Thankfully, this time it remembers I've done this storyline. I'm going to kiss him passionately, because why not? And we're going to move on, and Carrie's come over, and I'm going to tell her about the nightmare I had last night.
a nightmare.
And I'm going to tell her about how I was being held in a jail cell. And we're going to do a tarot reading that goes horribly wrong. I'm not going to tell him what's wrong, though. Although I will tell Carrie. Maybe I should marry Carrie. I'm just saying. Sam does not deserve her. And we're in the demon world again. God damn it. Stay still. And they try to get home and they fail. I'm going to ask about Diana because, you know, she just got knocked on her butt. And are you okay? Because your coworkers didn't seem to care. And I'm going to stay in my very nice, luxurious room that Diana was very gracious to let me have. And here's Rabbit, and she's brought me food, and I'ma eat it. Nom nom, get in my belly. Because stew is delicious, even if it's made out of pig imps. Ew, I know, right? I'm gonna tighten my hug on my guy so he doesn't try taking off Diana's horns. And we are going to curse the Demon Lord. The son of a bitch that he is. God damn it, whoremonger asswipe. Yeah, that was a bit long, wasn't it? We're gonna skip forward again. We're gonna tell Diana it's not fair that she doesn't want to take us into a war field. And no, I don't want to talk about what's going on, and I'm not okay. However, in private, I will kiss the crap out of you. And bad things have happened, and I'm not going to say anything. And we're going to answer if truly there. And more things happen. And now it is time to pick a trainer. Diana wants me to use Zero. I do not, so what would the others teach me? And I am going to choose Rabbit one more time because, you know, last time I was, you know, not exactly kind to our bunny lady. And we've seen this. And she summons a rabbit, summons a bear spirit to protect herself. And now it's my turn to pick a spirit to protect myself. And I am going to choose a lion. Arr. I stared wide-eyed as the mist formed into a grand lion who seemed to be as big as the bear, if not bigger. How the hell did that happen? Mika, we've covered this. You're in a world of magic. It's totally normal. Despite its form being gaseous and ethereal, the fur that covered its body was glimmering in lavender, while its claws bared, teeth, majestic mane, and eyes were pure white, compared to the bluish white of the bear. I let out a large roar in reply to the sight of the bear, standing proud and ready to attack on my command. Rabbit seemed surprised as well, gripping her staff in instinctual fear before inhaling deeply and taking the sight of my animal guardian.
Very good. Your spirit is strong.
Except for when I summon bunnies and you get really pissed at me. I smiled, happy to know that the sigh signified my power. I was shocked that I was able to match a rabbit's guardian, but the thought went away as Rabbit pointed her staff at me.
Attack!
Uh-oh. Upon her command, the bear reared back on its hind legs and let out a large roar before charging at my guardian. I quickly followed suit. Go! My guardian squatted on its four limbs before pouncing off the ground and charging forward as well. Both animals rammed their heads together and pressed against each other before the bear took a swipe at my guardian, forcing it to the side. I didn't expect to be affected by it, feeling pain hit my chest hard internally. What the hell happened? A question you ask almost every day, don't you? Did the attack on my guardian actually affect me? I didn't get time to think on it, however. I became opened as the bear continued to rush forward, naming me its target. Before it could reach me, however, my guardian leapt through the air and swiped his claws at the bear's neck, causing it to fall to the side. I watched in disbelief as my guardian took the bear down, grabbed its neck and its teeth, and shaking violently and causing the bear to release a roar of pain. Rabbit, on the other hand, gripped her neck and let out a yelp of pain. Rabbit! I couldn't say any more before my lion became victim to one of the bear's claws slamming into its body, forcing it off with a whine. I felt a deep jab in my shoulder and the same spot where the lion was hit, caused me to grip my arm and rub over my pain. The bear got up onto its feet, as did my guardian, and they snarled at each other, circling one another to wind up, with the bear back in front of Rabbit, and my guardian in front of me. I was astonished at the event, straightening up and taking in what had happened. Rabbit let out a pained smile before tapping her staff beside her.
Heal.
That's also a very important thing to teach your animals. The bear, who was growling before, stopped and simply kept a cold eye on my guardian, remaining in place as Rabbit stepped up beside it.
This is the power of an animal guardian. They obey and protect, but they are still connected to our spirit. What pain they feel, we feel as well.
Huh. Interesting, but also kinda scary. I grimaced, calling for my guardian to stand down as well. Well, it seemed really cool and effective for protection. If the animal guardian became mortally wounded, the same would happen to me, or so I assumed. And how about we check with teacher instead of just assuming things? Rabbit lifted her hand and rested it on the bear, showing that the guardian had physical weight and patted over its fur.
However, We can only feel its pain. We do not bleed or die if our guardians are attacked and killed.
Good to know. And also why we don't assume things. That's a bit of a relief. Rabbit rubbed her neck and smiled at me.
I will say, your guardian is quite strong for having never been summoned before.
I know, right? Such a good kitty. Who's a good kitty? Who's a good kitty? I felt flattered that my spirit was able to impress Rabbit. I guess that was a plus towards this training. Rabbit walked forward and held her hand out to my guardian, who seemed wary at first. Hey, let her. I didn't know why I was speaking to it casually, but something felt right about it. The animal was essentially a part of me, and I could feel that it understood me regardless of what I said. The guardian calmed down and leaned its head towards Rabbit, who placed her hand on its head and ran her fingers along its fur.
Truly magnificent. I had only ever seen another guardian this large once before.
Oh? Go on. I smirked, looking to the bear. Your own, right? Rabbit shook her head and looked to me, stopping her gesture on my animal.
No, from, Diana.
Really? What does Diana summon? I am curious. Also, if it's not a snake, I'm gonna kinda be disappointed. I had to stop myself from dropping my jaw. Diana was able to do this? Hell yeah, she is kind of OP. Then again, I didn't think this kind of magic was limited to just me and Rabbit. Was any magic truly bound to only one demon type? Rabbit acknowledged my facial expression with a slight smile.
She has a very powerful guardian. I'm surprised she doesn't use it.
Oh? Go on.
That's because I don't need to.
Yes, you do. Shush. Now show me. Rabbit and I turned our heads to see Diana by the doorway, smiling at both of us as she walked in. She observed our animals and nodded, visually impressed.
I assume everything is going well?
Uh-huh. Look at my kitty.
Great, actually. Look at the size of her animal guardian.
I know, right? Diana walked over and sized up my animal for her eyes, nodded in agreement, with Rabbit's excitement.
Quite impressive.
Thank you.
I expect good things to come from this training.
Me too. And I expect that train to go by any second now. I so want to ask, but I'm gonna show restraint and not. Don't ask.
Well, if you don't mind, I must get back to work.
Cool.
There is a lot that needs to be done, and we have little time to do it.
Okay, you have fun, Bee. Diana nodded to us both before turning to leave. However, Rabbit stepped forward.
Diana. May I speak to you in private later, after I have finished training her for the day?
Aww. I naturally furrowed my eyebrows. What was she wanting to talk about with Diana? Diana seemed confused as well, looking back to Rabbit, but nodding nonetheless.
Of course. I'll come here when you are finished.
Aw.
Thank you.
Diana gave one more nod before turning back around and leaving the room. I looked to Rabbit, curious as to what they had to talk about. But if it was important to speak in private, then it was a matter I should keep my nose out of. Mom, I want to know. Rabbit shook her head and smiled at me.
Well now, where were we?
My kitty was beating up your bear. I rolled my shoulders and looked to our two animal guardians. seeing them resting on the ground, patiently waiting for us. Were these really only used for battle? I looked back to Rabbit, curious to know the answer. Hey, Rabbit,
What is it?
are these guardians only meant for battle and defense? Rabbit shook her head and walked over to her bear, petting it softly and making a low but happy grumble escape from it.
Think of these creatures as friends, whom we wish to protect us. A rabbit demon such as myself would benefit greatly from a bear companion.
But would a bear benefit from a rabbit guardian? Both the bear and rabbit looked at me, hoping I understood. I looked to my own animal, confused to why I was able to imagine what mine looked like. The intricacies of this magic seemed over my head, but I accepted it for now, with a nod of slight understanding. Until the night, we trained furiously, using our animal guardians to show me how to use them, what commands to say, and how to conserve my energy. By the time I left, however, I was exhausted. I returned to my room and the skip button. Yay! Good times. I'm gonna stay quiet. However, I will kiss him before going to sleep. Mwah. I'm going to bust in, because no one's gonna chain him up but me. And we're back in the waking world. I had a nightmare again. And I'm gonna leave Diana alone. There was no need to ask about what was going on. If she worked through the night, then she worked. It was not my place to ask why. As well as the skip button returning. I was excited to see what training we would do today. However, as I walked to the Great Hall to meet a rabbit, I bumped into someone.
Ugh.
Question mark, question mark, question mark?
Oh no! Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you.
Aww, you're adorable. And why do you have a boar's mask? Looking over at who had collided with me, I was surprised to see a young man in some sort of flowing cloth garb, waving his hands in front of him in worry. What was wrong? He just bumped into me. It was an accident for sure. Uh-oh, he's planted evidence on me. Paranoia. It's alright. It's alright. Despite my reassurance, the boy bowed and apologized once again.
I really am truly sorry.
Uh-huh, that's nice.
That's enough, Bajang.
Bajang, you say? I quickly looked over to see Diana walking towards me with crossed arms. Looking to the boy as he flinched at his name, Bajang looked up and jumped up at the sight of Diana beside me.
Rebel Queen! I have a message from my lady.
I know. Come along, and I will hear it.
Diana gestured Bajang to follow her as she nodded to me.
I apologize for keeping you. Good luck with the training.
Thank you. Me and my kitty are gonna go have fun. I could only nod before Diana walked off with the boy behind her. He seemed nice. I wondered for a moment who he was, but shook my head. A moment in time. I continued my journey to the Great Hall and turned into the room, peering in and expecting to see my trainer ready for me. That, unfortunately, wasn't the case. Rabbit stood in the middle of the room, her staff in front of her, while formed in a semicircle around her were pig fauna demons, ones that very much resembled the one I saw in the vision the boys gave me about their pasts. Why were they here, though? Watch jump. I'm just gonna view this. I trust Rabbit to keep herself safe. I was lost in what was happening, but something in my gut told me to stay put. Following my instincts, I watched as Rabbit stepped back, gripping her staff hard, with the imp demons cackling quietly around her. A large blue light began to glow from the crystal at the end of her staff, causing the imps to turn and become distracted by it. As they did, however, Rabbit swung her staff in an arc, causing a large wave of ice to spray forward and engulf them. I stared in shock as the imps became encased in ice, frozen in time and space. What made my mind completely blank in awe was Rabbit lifting up the end of her staff and tapping it on the surface of the ice. The bodies of the imps suddenly began to crack and crumble, before dissolving into the ice as they were never there. What the hell? I took another step in, trying to take in what had just happened. What kind of ice did Rabbit trap them in? Why were they there in the first place? What was going on? All valid questions. Rabbit turned over her shoulder and gasped, seeing me come in. As she did, the ice disappeared, evaporating into the air. Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry, I just...
Yes? I stared at Rabbit, confused as ever, but she turned around and let out a sigh.
I'm sorry. I was doing some training of my own. I'm usually not on the battlefield in war, but since the next battle will be our last, we need to have as many people fighting as we can.
Understandable. I instantly shook my head. It was understandable. I wasn't the only one allowed to train after all. It's fine. Sorry for interrupting. Rabbit laughed a bit, hugging her staff to her body. It was pretty cute to see her standing up to the illusionary imps, but she seemed to handle herself well. After a moment, however, she shook her head and cleared her throat.
Anyway, we should start your training for the day. Can't let this time go to waste.
Yeah, we really can't. I nodded, summoning my guardian, readying myself. This time, Rabbit pointed her staff out and caused a large group of imps to appear, ready to slice into me and my animal guardian. I smirked, knowing how easy this would be, which means I'm about ready to get my ass kicked. Upon my command, my guardian leapt forward and began to claw through the ground, dodging their swords and spears and making sure to rip through each one as they came. As one fell and turned into mist, another would emerge to take its place. It became a practice of endurance. My animal kept fighting, but I felt myself slowly becoming weaker with each attack and movement. It had happened the day before, but the battles had been shorter, and were divided with many breaks in between. Today, however, had me go through wave upon wave of imps, until the afternoon when I felt drained and completely of energy. Soon my animal guardian dispelled itself, unable to maintain its form without my energy, leaving me defenseless. However, Rabbit spun her staff in the air, leaving the imps to vanish. She walked over to me with a smile, most likely proud of what work I had done.
I'm very shocked to see how long you managed to keep fighting. Many people would have dropped halfway through, but you pushed forward.
Yes, I did. High five. Thanks. In truth, I didn't want to give up. No matter what had happened, this was training, and stamina was key part of defending myself. Rabbit looked to the windows, seeing the lights of the afternoon slowly drift to the night.
Why don't we take a break for now? Then we'll do one last round before your training is over. All right?
Cool beans. I nodded, going to the far corner of the room and sitting down, wanting to shut my eyes for a moment and take a nap to regain my energy. I barely noticed the figure running into the room and approaching Rabbit.
My lady?
Ah, Bashang is back. Hey, buddy. I opened an eye, looked up to see Bajang looking to Rabbit with a slight grimace on his expression. Don't you mean on his face? Anyway. Rabbit turned to him and placed her staff to her side, tilting her head and furrowing her eyebrows.
Bajang, what is it?
Well, you see...
Rabbit stepped forward and checked Bajang's face, looking for something.
What's wrong? Did she take your energy?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. She didn't. She refused to take any from me. But she gave me another message to send back to you.
Oh? Rabbit waited as Bajang took a breath and straightened up, calm from the flustered expression he carried earlier. Whatever he had to say must have been important. Which maybe you should not have this conversation in front of me then.
She wants to speak with you alone tomorrow morning, before anything is settled.
Uh-oh. That could be good or bad.
Tomorrow morning? Why not tonight?
Because you're training me? Bajang rubbed his hands, another grimace painting over his face.
Well, she said she had plans later tonight, so she can't.
With whom? Wait, never mind. I don't wish to know.
Good call. I'm going to guess involves the guard, though. With a sigh, Rabbit turned and hugged her staff.
Thank you, Bajang. You're dismissed for the night.
Oh, thank you, my lady.
With that, Bajang bowed and turned, letting Rabbit sigh to herself, shaking her head.
Why do we have to keep discussing this?
Because it's important? Discuss what? Don't say anything. Well, now I'm curious. Discuss what? I couldn't help but be curious. After all, my spirit animal's a kitty. Well, it's a lion, but it's in the cat family. Rabbit looked over at me with a surprised face before pressing her lips together and looking away.
It's nothing to worry about. Just a minor topic we need to chat about. It's nothing.
Uh-huh, don't believe you. From the tone of her voice, it was definitely something large. However, Rabbit wasn't willing to spill the beans just yet. I let it go for now, knowing that I would find out sooner or later, regardless of the fact. Bajang finally left as Rabbit let out a sigh and looked back to me, a desperate look for some sort of distraction in her eyes. Whatever Diana need to talk to her about really riled her up. Still, I refused to let it get the best of me. I was certain that I would perfect fighting with my guardian and forget about whatever they were chatting about with ease.
Are you ready to go again?
Yes, ma'am. I nodded, sitting up to go once more and shaking out my nerves. I was getting tired, but my day wasn't over. I trained into the night, like I usually did. This time, however, Rabbit seemed to be rougher with her obstacles and attacks, letting out stress from the situation she wouldn't tell me about. Boo, bad teacher. I felt a little bad that she was holding it in, but I understood why. I mean, I don't. How about you don't fucking lash out at people if it's not their fault? As Rabbit and I finally relaxed, Rabbit smiled at me, exhausted.
You're getting better. That's good.
Thank you. So, am I also going to learn ice magic? I grinned and nodded, happy to know that there were improvements. As I turned to leave, however, Rabbit stopped me.
Wait,
Yes? Huh? What is it? I turned to see Rabbit, rubbing one of her ears nervously.
can you come a little later to practice tomorrow? You know that Diana is coming to discuss something, and, well...
Yeah, not a problem. I would like to sleep in. She didn't want me to overhear it. My curiosity was piqued, but I nodded regardless. I mean, I'm totally gonna eavesdrop. Alright, I'll come by later. With a smile, I left Rabbit and made my way back to my room. And my skip button. Huzzah. And Sarah is here, and we're discussing things. I'm gonna get up and kiss my future husband. And I'm going to kiss him again. We're gonna go all the way. And yes. Uh-oh, tense music. I arrived at the Grand Hall, expecting to see Rabbit waiting for me. However, I didn't expect Diana to be there. Locking in a heated argument with her. Do they mean looking? Locked? I think they mean locked in a heated argument with her. That sentence is not good. I quickly hugged the wall. I should have taken Shadow. I could have learned stealth moves. Wondering what was going on before I peeked into the room.
Rabbit, what you are asking is impossible.
Impossible? How is liberating my kind impossible?
Good question.
I know you wish to change the caste system, and I do as well, but it cannot be done overnight. Can you understand the consequences of such a sudden change?
Yes and no. You can literally just wave your hand and change it, but getting the people to actually respect that change is what's gonna take time. I understand where both these people are coming from, to be perfectly honest.
What does it matter? We are days away from taking control of this world, and what we demand will become ultimate law. The world will listen and obey every word we say, every word you say.
Exactly. She has a point.
You overestimate the power we would have, Rabbit.
I don't think she does, Diana. I felt frozen. What was happening? I thought Diana was with Rabbit in wanting change. Why would she hesitate? Because she's a monarch? She cannot climb any higher in the caste system. Rabbit was fighting for a just cause. The arguing continued.
No, I am not overestimating our power. I know exactly what we should be able to accomplish. You are just too afraid to go through with it.
Point?
Afraid? Of course I'm afraid. Do you know what a sudden change in the system would do to everyone? What it would do to your kind?
No, Diana. Please enlighten us.
We would be free.
Would you? Just because you say someone's free doesn't mean they are.
You would be slaughtered!
Okay, Diana's going into scary mode. As Diana's voice suddenly boomed, the air began to quake from it. I stared as Diana's form suddenly became covered with black and purple flame, glowing gold eyes peering towards the suddenly fearful Rabbit.
Not everyone will be as kind as I am. Not everyone will unlock the chains of your people's limbs just because I demand it. What you demand will sign the death wish of every animal demon on this godforsaken plane.
I don't know if I 100% agree that it would be a death sentence. But yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. Just because you say someone's free and you want to change the system doesn't mean those people that benefit from the system are gonna let it go.
You know what happened in the human world when the slaves of that world demanded their freedom? Millions were slaughtered, and they are still not equal to other humans. Why not learn that lesson?
Because this isn't Earth. We're on a completely different plane where magic's a thing. And yeah, things are still not 100% equal, but I do think they get better with every generation. I was astonished. Was Diana seriously comparing animal demons to slaves of the human world's past? Rabbit stared, still fearful of the suddenly intimidating Diana, but watched as Diana slowly calmed down and let out a sigh.
I know that what I ask is beyond horrid, but you need to understand. A ruler can rule, but the people beneath them have voices and hands of their own, strong enough to disobey and do as they desire.
Again, you control armies with the snap of your fingers. It feels like if you really wanted to push this, you could make people do what you wanted.
I may demand the immediate liberation of your kind, but they may see liberation as a call to slaughter, out of desperation to keep what they believe is theirs.
True. She has a point. At the same time, though, you do need to begin the liberation process. Rabbit, ...
I swear on my bloodline that I will fix this caste system, but you cannot demand that I force it overnight, unless you desire the blood of your kind to spill over the earth.
I don't think that's what she wants. Without giving Rabbit a chance to respond, Diana turned and marched towards the exit. Before I could react, she reached the doorway, seeing me and stopping in her tracks. Hi. Indeed. She didn't say anything. She simply arced around me and left down the hall, lowering her head as she vanished around the corner. I turned back to the room to see Rabbit turn her face out of one of the large windows, gripping her staff to her body and biting her lower lip. This must have been so hard on her, but I wasn't sure to exactly side with. Both had valid points. Rabbit and the other animal demons deserved to be free. But what if Diana was right? Rabbit's people would be killed the minute Diana's liberating demand left her mouth. Even worse, they'd never be able to reach that equality Rabbit wanted. Yeah, but here's the thing. It has to start somewhere. And Diana's not exactly, saying how she's gonna start this ball rolling. I could only grimace at the situation. It was a tough one, and who knew where it would go after the war. I was positive it would work out in the end, but I knew it would be a tough battle to face, regardless of what they decided to do. Taking a breath, I walked in and made my way towards Rabbit as she lowered her head, placing a hand on her shoulder. Are you okay?
No. No, I am not.
I don't blame you. Rabbit took a breath and shook her head, wiping her eyes and smiling her usual kind smile to me, making me frown a bit at the sight.
I just thought that I could make a change in this war. But apparently not.
Rabbit stared at me, searching for something in my eyes before letting out a sigh and waving her staff and forming a bluish mist in her hand. As if finally disappeared, it revealed something I didn't expect to see. In Rabbit's hand was a black and red iron collar, broken around the tag and on the back. That wasn't what sent a wave of shock down my spine, however. I'm more concerned with all of these little spiky bits pointing in. Around the inner border were metal spikes, thank you. Dulled from rust and time. But I could tell that at one point they had been sharp enough to pierce the wearer's neck. What is this? Rabbit placed it on the windowsill with a sigh, staring intensely at it in remembrance.
That was my breeding collar.
Oh. Okay. All the hugs, assuming you want to be touched, and if you don't, none of the hugs. Okay. Feel your feelings, girl. Breeding collar? I stared wide-eyed at Rabbit, understanding, or at least putting together, what that could have meant. She was a slave for breeding? As I stared, Rabbit let out a sad chuckle and shook her head.
I was born into a large family of animal demons. Rabbits like myself. However, we weren't born to have normal lives. We were bred to become slaves and servants to people like Diana.
Uh-huh. I couldn't believe it. Did Diana own her as... I think they mean as a... I couldn't believe it. Did Diana own her at one point? It was horrid to think about, but Rabbit continued.
I was given just enough to live and survive by my parents until I became an adult. Then I was taken to a breeding brothel with a handful of my brothers and sisters. They said that my magic was desirable to pass to offspring.
Ah. Yeah, this is Pokemon Daycare all over again, isn't it?
As part of the membership, they welded this onto my neck, hoping to keep me from being disobedient.
And I'm guessing that's why you have a neck scarf on. I instinctively rubbed my neck, disgusted at the story, despite knowing that she was going to be okay in the end. I mean, is she okay? That has to leave some kind of mental scar on you.
Of course, when they found out that I was still a virgin, they decided to instead use me to stimulate their clients and male slaves.
Ah, yeah. Oh, the mental scars. Rabbit ran her hand along her mask that covered her mouth, shutting her eyes and tracing the lines over her cheeks down to her chin. Okay, so that is a mask on her face, not just multicolors. Okay. I was right. Many episodes ago, that is a mask.
The day they cut open my mouth was the day Diana rescued me from captivity. I didn't think I was going to survive, let alone have my face become normal ever again. But Diana did everything she could to heal my wounds and reverse what my keepers did to me.
At that moment, Rabbit slipped 2 fingers into her mask and lowered it, revealing 2 scars that traveled from each edge of her lips across her cheeks, like a wide smile, and 2 more scars down her jaw, like a puppet's mouth. I covered my mouth. Well, I kinda wish they would have shown it. I covered my mouth, unable to form any words, but unable to stop the gasps that erupted from my throat at the sight. Rabbit quickly covered her mouth with her mask again, and looked out of the window in longing.
I was brought back here with all of the slaves Diana had freed, and was given care. I saw a deep compassion in Diana. She cared about people below her status, and wanted everyone to be equal and free. So I joined the rebellion, and eventually became a leader alongside her.
And when did this all go south? Slowly, Rabbit's eyes began to turn from warm and longing to cold and angered.
At least that's what I thought.
What do you mean? Rabbit looked to me and gripped her staff in white-knuckled grip, gritting her teeth before speaking and answering my question.
As soon as this war is over, Diana will take over and become queen of this world, unifying everyone under her banner.
Uh-huh.
However, with that kind of power, she can change the way my people are treated.
Yes. Yes, she could. But just because you say something is so doesn't mean you can instantly change the whole world's hearts and minds. That takes time. It's ugly. Because, yeah, I am very much of the camp of just pull the trigger and we'll deal with the consequences as they come. At the same time, I can see why Diana needs to be cautious. She will just be taking her throne. And she does need the support of the people under her.
But she refuses to use her power to do so. She doesn't understand what we have gone through, what my people have had to endure for eons. We are bred to be slaves, servants, war fodder, and we have no say in the matter. We deserve our freedom. We deserve to be free. We should not be forced to wait for her to come around to it.
Agreed. Rabbit was very passionate about her desire for her demon kind. It was beyond admirable. However, Diana's warning echoed in my mind, reminding me of what she predicted if she decided to do as Rabbit asked. It was a difficult decision to be in. I understood Rabbit perfectly, but I also became fearful of Diana's prediction. The demon world was a very different playing field than the human world, so I expected demons to be more ruthless about their traditions. It was horrid to think about, but the situation revolved around both ends of the risk spectrum. It was right, but it could be deadly. Rabbit shook her head, letting out a sigh.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be telling you this. It was a private matter,
And? It's alright, don't say anything. You know what? It's alright. Sometimes you genuinely do need just to vent. I understood perfectly. The situation was indeed a mess, but something told me that they would be able to figure it out. Rabbit and Diana were smart women after all. And also, this is how you unlock the inequality achievement. I have unlocked it back in the 26 just playing the game for fun. But I think I would share that now. But there is more we're going to show as we've started down this path. Rabbit looked at me in surprise before smiling slightly and nodding.
Right.
Exactly. Rabbit finally shook her head and let out a sigh.
Well, now that I'm done with my, business, shall we get to training?
Yes, we shall. On guard. Kitty, pounce! With a nod from me, we spent the day forgetting about what had happened and focusing on working on my stamina and power with my animal guardian. It became easier to direct, and it even became intelligent enough to defend me if something tried to sneak up behind me. Aw, my kitty's getting smarter. I was thankful for my new companion, and felt ready for the siege ahead. Yay, skip button! Whee! I'm gonna leave the room, because things are getting creepy. And I couldn't. Damn it. Oh well, it's time for the angels to mess with my head. I'm going to choose to stay silent. And I'm going to tell James that I love him. And yeah, things have happened. Yeah!
My lady, your student tried to listen in.
God damn it, Bajang, I thought we were cool.
Thank you, Bajang.
I grimaced, now out in the open. The Force stared at me with cold eyes, as if they were ready to send me back to the human world as a corpse, rather than going through with the siege. I looked up at all of them as I slowly rose to my feet, eyeing each leader, and, as I considered running for the door... Hey, my initial spirit animal was a rabbit. However, they each looked to each other in contemplation.
Say, you didn't hear anything,
I heard
did
the
you?
skip button.
What was the last thing you heard?
Something about it being better?
Diana doesn't deserve the throne.
Not for me to decide. I get to leave here when this is done. I looked to Rabbit, shocked to hear her say that. She had joined the rebellion because Diana wanted to make things better. Why did she not deserve the throne now? Do we not remember her tirade earlier? I think we know exactly why. Rabbit turned fully to me and stepped forward.
We all joined the rebellion to make this world a better place. But Diana has proven that she doesn't care about anything other than defeating the Demon Lord for revenge. She is not a real leader.
Yeah, that is a pretty big flaw. Is it because she didn't approve of what you said to her? Rabbit flinched a bit, remembering that I had eavesdropped on that conversation as well. She looked at the ground and let out a sigh.
I joined this rebellion to fix the broken caste system. With Diana on the throne, nothing will change. Demons will still be forced to live as they were, and my kind will continue to be nothing more than slaves and servants.
And you deserve better. The rage in Rabbit's eyes as she looked up at me could kill. I felt myself become fearful of her as she took another step towards me.
If this madness has dulled her sense of duty to the world, and I join this war for nothing, then I will be happy to rid the world of her, if that keeps my kind from being kept under her foot.
Okay. Her cause was noble. I felt myself become lost in whose side I was on, as Rabbit closed her eyes and took a breath to calm down. Rabbit shook her head, tapping her staff on the ground. And the skip buttons returned. I believe in you all, because there's more of you. And you're right in front of me. And the thing is, when you get this sill with the green poison vial, that is actually another achievement you unlock called Betrayal. I don't think I brought this up before, and the first time I unlocked it was again back in the 2016 For Fun playthrough. So I just thought I would share that now. Now, let us skip forward back to where we were. And it is our last night in the demon plane. And you know, I am exhausted. I am just really tired. Good night, everybody. It's the day of...
When you get to the castle, I will be fighting one-on-one.
She'll be fine. She has a way to defend herself.
Exactly. I have a cute, fluffy bunny. I mean, I have a lion. Roar. And to battle we go. The journey was surprisingly uneventful. The sounds of the war boomed beside the outside of the tree line, causing me to cover my ears a bit from the volume. But I shook my head and pressed forward, not wanting to become distracted. The goal was to get to the castle. I had to focus. As a line of incoming imps came into view, I glared and stopped, placing a hand over my chest and preparing to summon my guardian. Waves of energy pulsed around me before I jutted my hand out, forcing the familiar lavender and white mist to shoot out from my hand and slam itself onto the ground ahead of me. As it cleared, it formed my animal guardian, who let out a large battle roar. It made the trees around us tremble from the sheer force of his voice. As it cleared, it formed... I could hear my incubus jump back at the sound, surprised to see my summoning and staring in awe, at it at the same time.
Whoa! What?
I have a kitty. However, I didn't care at the moment. All I could focus on were the imps that I had successfully stopped and intimidated with my animal. Move out of my way. I jetted my hand forward, pointing at the imps that were stunned from my animal's cry, and commanded my animal forward. Go eat some yummy pink fawn imps. Go. On my command, the lion rushed forward, charging straight at one of the imps ahead of it and pouncing on it. As it landed, it swiped its large paws at the imp, ripping his chest open. On my command. Don't they mean the lion? Anyway, the lion rushed forward, beelining towards one of the imps ahead of it and pouncing upon it. As it landed, it snapped its teeth around the neck of the imp, shaking him like a rag doll and ripping its throat open. Bye, pig imp. You don't even get the dignity of stew. I rushed forward, causing my incubus to follow behind me as my animal continued to claw and bite through the imps in our path, uncaring if they were attacked or frozen still from fear. The more imps that fell, the more reinforcements became shell-shocked. I kinda can't blame them. Some managed to drive their weapons into my animal, causing me to flinch and reel back a bit from the pain, but I pressed forward, knowing that I would be alright in the end. My animal pushed forward as well, animalistic in its carnage. The remaining imps began to quake and step back in fear, most likely never seeing a human use magic, and slowly decimate their numbers. I didn't seem to mind as they became open targets for my animal to strike down as we rushed onward towards the castle. My incubus, despite probably being surprised by my animal's carnage, followed as I continued forward, commanding my animal through every imp that came in our way. I had lost count of how many crossed us, but I didn't care. All I cared about was getting to the castle. By the time we reached the end of the forest, there were a slew of dead bodies behind us. I stood at the tree line, panting and feeling waves of lost energy echo through my body as my animal began to slowly fade away. I watched my animal stare at me, its eyes asking if it had done well. I smiled and nodded slightly before it bowed its head and disappeared from sight, unable to maintain its form any longer without my energy to fuel it. That was all I could do before my energy was expanded and a wave of exhaustion rolled through my body. And the skip button has returned. Huzzah! Fight, fighty fight, and they fight, and they fight. And love is stronger than you think. Skippy, skip, 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 skip. Don't stop him. I'm going to stop him. And now we have won, we are victorious, and it's time to follow Diana out onto that balcony one more time. And if you've seen the other Let's Plays, you know where this is going. I still don't want to be here till the day I die. Or until I eventually buy the DLC pack for this. And time to poison the queen. Yay, regicide. However, I stopped as I spotted a figure ahead of me. Rabbit stood just ahead of me with a look of sadness on her face. Why did she look that way? She wasn't the one who did the deed.
Did you give it to her?
Unfortunately. I nodded, not able to speak. Rabbit let out a small sigh before she walked towards me, stopping in front of me.
I know it must have been difficult, but it had to be done.
I think out of all the generals, Rabbit had the most cause to do this. I do really find it sad there was no option to talk Diana around, though. Mika, ... I didn't want to speak to her. I had fulfilled my promise, and I would have to live with the memory of it forever. However, I didn't expect her to touch my head and cast a spell.
I'm sorry.
Are you? Because I'm pretty sure you'd do this all over again. I stared wide-eyed, watching in surprise as my mind became lighter. Memories of what had happened began to slowly dissolve, and my heart became lighter at the loss of the memories. Was this some kind of joke? Before I knew it, I felt at ease where I stood. I was in the middle of the hallway with Rabbit, unsure of why I was there, or what had happened.
There you are. Come. Your husband and the others are waiting for you.
Cool. I stared at Rabbit, confused but determined to return to where I was. And we read this. I was going home.
Well, you
Hello,
did
Kay.
it! Congratulations! You've made it to the end of your story. I have to say, I am very surprised at how it turned out.
Are you?
Nevertheless, I'm glad things worked out in the end, whether
Did
it was
they?
for the better or otherwise.
Eh.
I mean, not only did James defeat his father, the dreaded demon, but I guess it was for the best, or else they would have kept trying to hunt you down. Anyways, you've been through a lot, so why don't we skip to...
The achievements I've unlocked? Yes, let's do that.
Huh? You want to know what happened after the war? Well, I mean, I guess I could tell you. After the war was finished, the entire rebellion celebrated. Word spread far and wide about the rebellion's success, and soon every kingdom in the abyssal plains had become united with the new authority.
Cool.
You would think demons would be more hostile towards each other, being demons and all, but the threat of the Demon Lord was what brought the entire world together. Because you decided to kill Diana, the rebels were able to take over and unite the world under their rule. I still will never understand why you did it, but I guess you had your reasons.
Of course I did.
I'll be honest though, they don't exactly work well together. While the world accepted them as the rulers, the four of them really couldn't get it together. So they decided that only one of them should rule while the others should be advisors. It took them a while to decide who to let take the crown. At the agreement of the others, Rabbit took up the throne. Her wisdom about the world and her devotion to peace and equality became an admirable trait amongst the other leaders.
Aww. How does this end horribly?
However, while her ideas were great, her passion towards her people became... well...
Spit it out, Kay.
The minute she became queen, she demanded the release of her fellow animal demons from slavery and servitude, saying that anyone who resisted would face death. Some demons agreed, but the majority of them did not.
Yeah, but we were kind of afraid that was going to be the outcome.
Within the span of a week, the number of the animal demons that lived in the abyssal plains went from millions to hundreds, because the powerful majority of the world would have rather seen their servants and slaves dead than free.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Rabbit was crushed and eventually became the victim of assassination.
Ouch.
The other leaders couldn't even show their face to the world and went into hiding, leaving the world to return to the old, broken caste system.
Okay. Rabbit probably has one of the worst outcomes. That's unfortunate. Also, this is how you unlock the achievement Rabbit's Extremism. That's unfortunate.
And I believe that is everything that happened after, well, except for your story anyway.
Yeah, but this this playthrough was not about, air quotes, my story. It was about showing off the achievements. And on that note, I think I have officially cleared off all of the achievements. I think I'm gonna do one more video after this. It's gonna be poking around the menu a little, showing you some of the hidden things. But that'll be next time. So, until next, tak likatela kiddo.